From Cincinnati, Ohio, it's Game 2 of the 4-game series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds. The Pirates' 7-game road trip continues. Of course, they won 2 of 3 in Miami, and they lost last night to the Reds in 10 innings. They're 0-4 this year in the season series against Cincinnati. Look to start turning that around. Greg Brown, along with John Wehner and Robbie Smikowski. And last night, John, just 3 hits by the Pirates, all 3 home runs, a solo shot by Andrew McCutchen, and Josh Harrison went deep twice.
Yeah, very odd. They just couldn't get a whole lot going offensively except for the McCutchen homer in the first. J-Hay gets a fastball up and out over the plate. Don't see this a whole lot from J-Hay going the other way in this small ballpark. The family's happy, but I think they're even happier here. A 2-strike hanging slider. J-Hay goes to the pull side. This one more of a no-doubter to tie it, but unfortunately the Bucks lose an extra inning.
Of course, he's at the top of the order these days as Clint Hurdle's been looking for that energy. He has brought that. Look what he's done in the last 10 games.
Everybody says he can't hit leadoff because he doesn't walk enough. He's not patient enough, but when he hits, he gets on plenty of enough times, and you see the average at 378. He's hit the ball at the ballpark. OPS 1.117. J-Hay's been doing a good job at the top.
So they're having trouble getting Josh Harrison out. Meanwhile, the Pirates cannot get Billy Hamilton out. He had 2 more hits last night, stole 3 more bases. He has just been a thorn in the Pirates' side.
Exactly, and now he's, for me, not a leadoff hitter because he doesn't get on enough except for against the Pirates. Everybody else, he gets on only at a 235 clip average-wise. Look at the stolen bases against the Pirates, 43, 16 more than the Cardinals and the Cubs. It's really remarkable. Billy Hamilton, for whatever reason, likes hitting against the Pirates. And the Pirates, by the way, has had a pretty good pitching rotation over the years.
Speaking of pitching, Tyler Glasnow is on the bump tonight, making his 5th start of the season, his 9th Major League start, looking for that first big league win. We'll talk Tyler Glasnow when we come back. searching not only for his first win of the season, but his first win in the major leagues. He'll be making his 9th big league start. And you're really looking for some positives, and maybe a stretch, and small steps from this big man, but that's what the Pirates are trying to do, encourage him, John. And last couple of starts, ERA 4.50, certainly not what he and the Pirates want, but I guess you could say it was better than the first couple of starts.
Yeah, and he's finding a changeup. He's being more confident with that and his curveball. The next thing you think is the fastball. It's what we've heard about with Tyler when he came up through the minor leagues, the fastball and the command of it, and then you incorporate all three and you hope to improve on the numbers. You be more efficient in the zone, you get the walk rate down, the strike rate goes up, you're more competitive, you go deeper in ball games.
Josh Harrison greeting some fans before the ball game, and he will be leading things off. We'll get to the lineups in the first pitch momentarily, but first we go back to Pittsburgh, the studios, and Rob King with this game break. Harrison contingent, mom, dad, family, friends on hand to see Cincinnati native Josh Harrison lead things off. Let's check out the rest of the RAV4 starting lineup. After Jay Hay, it'll be Josh Bell hitting the 2-hole. Andrew McCutchen has reached base safely in 20 straight ball games. John Jaso hits cleanup. Gregory Polanco with the night off, so Jose Osuna is in left. Elias Diaz makes the start behind the plate. Alan Hansen, Jordy Mercer, and Tyler Glass now the starting 9 for the Pirates. Josh Harrison steps in against Scott Feldman. A cool night, and we're underway. Vic Carapazza barks out the strike call.
Veteran Scott Feldman, not a hard thrower. Off to a pretty decent start, 3.25 ERA, 1-2 record, 24 punch-outs, 27 2/3. A lot of those strikeouts coming against the curveball. He's going to average around 90 miles per hour. He'll throw a sinker, a cutter, and he'll try to get you to chase the curveball once he gets ahead.
Hey, stepping out. Again, it's a windy night, much like last night. It's a small ballpark, and you get the ball up in the air, you get a chance, especially with these conditions. Weather 16 to 20 plus miles per hour, and temperature dipping. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Harrison. And there's that breaking pitch John just talked about.
Jay didn't like the first pitch that was called a strike, didn't like the last pitch that was called a strike. A big slow curveball.
The Honda defense, there he is in center field. Not only does he do it on the bases, but might be the best center fielder in the league. Scott Schebler in right, Adam Duvall in left. Eugenio Suarez, Zach Cozart on the left side of the infield, Jose Peraza, Joey Votto on the right side, and Devin Mesoraco does the catching. It's a strong defensive club, the Cincinnati Reds. Josh Bell was 0 for 3, was hit by a pitch last night, so his consecutive on-base streak has reached 15 games. Very young and inexperienced starting lineup for the Pirates tonight. If you include Tyler Glass now, it's really kind of amazing. Bell making his 22nd start of the season. He made 33 starts last year, and he is a rookie this season. Hit hard, but right at the second baseman, Peraza. With 2 outs, brings up Andrew McCutchen. Here we see the career plate appearances combined for Josh Harrison, Josh Bell, Andrew McCutchen, and John Jaso. 11,908. The rest of the starting lineup, 342. You're talking about Jose Osuna, Elias Diaz, Alan Hansen. Very, again, young and inexperienced part of the lineup. Andrew McCutchen, veteran of the crew, along with Jaso.
What's interesting about the young lineup too, a veteran pitcher, a guy that's crafty, and he'll try to get you to miss hit. Doesn't typically go after the strikeout, just tries to miss the barrel.
Only McCutchen and Jaso have seen Feldman in the past. It's been several years, in fact, since the Pirates team has seen this one-time Chicago Cub. Feldman signed as a free agent over the winter. He's 34 years old, 6'6", 225 pounds. He's appeared in 326 big league games with 188 major league starts. One-time 30th round pick of the Texas Rangers back in 2003. And a 3-1 count now on Andrew McCutchen, trying to reach base a 21st straight time. 20 games currently, 1 for 3 with a home run last night.
That little two-seam. It's always, for me, the two-seam fastball. If you can keep it down and away from the hitter in the strike zone when you're behind the count, it's such a valuable pitch. 2-0, 3-1. Chances are hitters are going to take it. They're looking for something up in the zone, something they could drive.
Chopper, short Cozart. 1-2-3 for Scott Feldman. regular producer for Pirate Games on Root Sports. He taking this series off, so Jason Steele, the associate producer. Check out the starting lineup for the Reds. Billy Hamilton will be followed by Zach Cozart and Joey Votto. Adam Duvall hits cleanup. Season series against the Pirates in 4 games, hitting .375 with a pair of homers. Eugenio Suarez next. Scott Schebler is in right. Then it's Jose Peraza, Devin Mesoraco, and Feldman.
Tyler Glasnow getting his 5th start of the year and looking to improve on those numbers. It's always interesting with Tyler. I'm not sure how people feel. I look forward to his starts because you're not exactly sure if this is going to be the day that he turns it around.
Ball 1, critical that Glasnow starts to get ahead of hitters.
Despite the struggles for Tyler, I mean, here's a guy that has dominated. And we've talked a lot about how he's dominated at the minor league level and expect him to be a top of the rotation type at the big league level. Just a matter of when. And
boy, 3-0 right away. And really, those pitches not close.
And then that's the thing, like you said, the critical thing is the fastball command, working ahead in the count.
That first one was closer than I thought.
But yeah, the fastball obviously is an important pitch. But if you're behind in the count and you throw it down the middle, it's going to get hit.
And he's on. You just know what's going to happen here. Alan Hansen is getting the start at second base. We checked the Pirates defense. Jordy Mercer, his double play partner. Josh Harrison and Josh Bell on the corners. Jose Osuna, his first big league start in left. Andrew McCutchen in center. And John Jaso gets the start in right. And Elias Diaz behind the plate. This is his second major league start. He had one last year. And he was doing great work at AAA Indies in terms of throwing out base runners. He caught 9 of 19 for Indianapolis this season. Threw base runners out at a 52% clip last year. Just a matter of when he goes. And he certainly has the attention of Glasnow. Opponents are 6 for 7 against Glasnow this year on the bases. Last year they were 9 for 9 in the stolen base department.
And obviously the Reds know it. Billy Hamilton's going to go right away, you would think.
Ball 1 and early trouble for Glasnow. These two have matched up in the past in the minors. Glasnow and Diaz. Zach Cozart at the plate. That graphic we showed you at the start, 43 steals against the Pirates in his career, by far the most against any team. And it's 44 steals against the Pirates, 14 this season, 198 for his career.
And Diaz has a strong, very, very strong throwing arm, and he makes it look somewhat close, but the jump, the great speed, it's an easy steal. As you see, Diaz stays low on the knees.
When you walk Hamilton, it's an automatic double for the most part, and you could say maybe an automatic triple. And he's not satisfied right now. He causes so much stress on the bases. It is incredible.
And you know, with Hamilton and his speed, and you look at Cozart, and he just pulled that curveball foul, and you wonder, do you even worry about moving him over? Because he could steal it.
Yeah, you know, just take a couple pitches.
He's trying to go hit it the other way.
Good call.
Cozart certainly didn't look like he was trying to hit it the other way.
Just gets a piece of it.
An interesting couple of curveballs back to back here from Glasnow, and And that's the thing that you find interesting when you watch Glass now over his last couple of starts. You know, the curveball's still up in the zone, but it's a tough pitch to hit. I think he has more confidence in throwing strikes with both the curveball and the changeup, more so than the fastball. I think that's part of the issue with the command, is I just don't think he feels that he could put the fastball where he wants to. And as you saw there, I mean, even if you don't throw a perfect pitch.
And that is going to go foul, and that would have been very interesting. Because Hamilton took off, and on that chopper, he has scored on more than one occasion on a play just like that, where he doesn't stop.
And I don't think J.Hay had a chance at Cozart. Would have probably have had to hold on to it if it stayed fair.
Glass now could use a strikeout. Cozart hitless in 4 at-bats last night. Out again, third base side. What a start to his season. Cozart, job he's done at the plate. Not known as an offensive player, but he's hitting .333. That is 9th in the National League. 7th in on-base percentage. Wow. 96 up and in. That'll get his attention.
And the two-seamer was meant to be down and away. And again, this goes back to, you know, the lack of confidence that Tyler might have in locating the fastball.
Pickoff try. Hamilton easily back.
I think most pitchers talk about fastball command, and it's not only just for strikes but quality strikes. And again, Tyler can throw more changeups and curveballs, because even if he misses them over the heart, they're tough to hit. The fastball, that's what the hitters are geared up for. So if you miss middle with it, you end up giving up a bunch of hits, and that by far is the pitch that opponents have hit for the highest average.
I almost wonder why the curveball wasn't called right there.
Yeah.
That previous pitch, whether it was intentional or not, up and in, you'd think that curveball would have been a perfect pitch. Now the 9th pitch of this Cozart at bat.
And again, we've talked pitch efficiency, and it's taken Tyler Glass now this year so far an average of 24 pitches per inning.
Hamilton has a big lead. There he goes. And it's ball 4. And it's 1st and 3rd. And all kinds of trouble again. Now he faces Joey Votto. Hamilton and Josh Harrison having some fun. Infield will play back. Votto 0 for 3 with a walk last night.
Took a little off, 92 miles per hour. And then that's the other thing you wonder about. You know, I mean, do I have to just kind of push it in there, aim it in there? We've seen him throw in the upper 90s. They're not a bad pitch in terms of away from the lefty.
And hard to center. And Joey Votto just crushed it. A 3-run homer. The Reds up, 3 batters in, 9 home runs now for Votto on the year. That was tattooed.
again, it's not just location in terms of throwing strikes. It's the quality of the strike. And it meant to be in. It's up middle at 95.
Whoa. Joey Votto. That's the second home run Glasnow has allowed this season. And now it really is becoming a dilemma for the Pirates. What do you do with Tyler Glasnow situation? Of course, they talked about in spring training. He's dominated in the minor leagues. Nothing more to learn there. But this is not pretty. The start to this ball game, and 449 feet.
Way up at the top of that batter's eye.
Ray Searage going to pay Glasnow a visit.
And again, do you want him to work his things out?
Get the impression he was trying to tell Glasnow, could be wrong, but get mad.
That's kind of what we saw in Chicago back on April 15th. He got worked up, got more aggressive. We also saw a lot of change-ups that day, but something switched for Tyler. But what ends up happening here is, again, the pitch count gets up. He gets into trouble early, can't get deep enough in games. Then you have to use your long relievers, which typically, if you're needing 3, 4, 5, 6 innings from your bullpen, you got to rest a couple of guys because they're picking up, and that's where you wonder as far as like how long does it continue? How long can you allow it to continue to where every 5 days you're into the bullpen? Now that's not necessarily the case now. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe something happens where he's back in the zone and he can go 4 or 5, but you want typically out of your starter 6 or more.
He's not retired a batter. He's walked 3 now. Vic Carapazza is behind the plate, calling balls and strikes tonight. Tom Hallion, the crew chief, is at first. Mark Ripperger is the second base umpire. Phil Cuzzy at third.
You look at the 2 long men in the Pirates bullpen, Wade LeBlanc and Trevor Williams. I mean, you almost think that Clint Hurdle has to think ahead that I can't use them.
Exactly, for the other 4 days.
I can't use them the day before or maybe even 2 days before. Not for an extended look, at least.
Eugenio Suarez did not start last night. Batting .325. Did have 1 at bat. 5 homers, 13 RBIs. Brian Price gave him most of the night off.
There's a good changeup. Previous pitch, a fastball at 94 that was left up middle. Got away with that one. That changeup, more movement. Only 9 miles per hour slower. Or 4, did I say 4? 4 miles per hour so slower to change up than the previous fastball.
Hit hard to right center, but McCutchen, good jump, gets there. First out. Suarez lines out to right center field. As now will face Scott Schebler. Left-handed batters hitting .286 against Glasnow this season. Righties .382. This 23-year-old from Newhall, California. Schebler was 1 for 4 last night. Eight homers, tied for 5th most in the league. Along with teammate Adam Duvall, Joey Votto just hit his 9th. Reds' only team in the majors with at least 3 players who've hit at least 8 homers. Those 3, Duvall, Schebler, and Votto. .97, but misses. And you can see that pitch count again already. 27 pitches.
.96. A little bit of late movement right on the inside edge.
One and two. Broke his bat. Shovel there from Hansen to get the lead man. 2 outs. Glasnow will now face Jose Peraza.
That little dribbler came off the curveball. I mean, the curveball got in on the hands and broke the bat. Got in there deep.
Fastball misses again. Peraza 1 for 4 last night in the Reds' extra inning victory. 10th toughest man to strike out in the National League.
And you wonder too, like with the fastball velocity, like we saw 97, now down to 93, and you wonder, is it something he's trying to do? I mean, that's a pretty big disparity.
We've seen 97, 96, and that one 93.
Yeah.
And what is he trying to do? Runner goes in the air to shallow right, and a base hit. A little pop up to shallow right field, and Peraza singles Schebler to third.
And there's a fastball off the end of the bat at 96. Sounded like another broken bat. But this one just not hit hard enough for Jaso to make a play.
And now Devin Mesoraco, the 8th man to bat in the inning. With a breaking ball to start him, and it's in the dirt. Mesoraco, pinch hitter in the 10th inning last night and grounded out. Just recently back off the disabled list. Injury plagued couple of seasons for the Punxsutawney native. On a strike on Mesoraco. Glasnow's last start. Touched on it in the outset against the Cubs, 3 1/3 innings, 89 pitches, 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 4. He's gotten 5 innings in once, and that was his 2nd start of the year at Wrigley Field. He gave up 6 runs and 5 against the Cubs. And interestingly enough, the Pirates have won each of his last 3 starts. Fly ball, right center, McCutchen. So long top of the first. 3 walks and Joey Votto's home run, and it's a 3-0 Reds lead. Here in Cincinnati, Pirates end this road trip on Friday, the first of a 3-game series against the Brewers, and the middle game is a free shirt Saturday. The first 20,000 fans get a Pirates t-shirt thanks to Mrs. T's Pierogies. It's the Bucks and the Brewers at 7:05. Go to pirates.com/free shirt Saturday for your tickets. And the Bucks and the Brewers for a 3-game series homestand, and then the Pirates will be back on the road, and great to see him back. Bob Walk returning. Was back in the Los Angeles area. His father passed away last week, and so Bob is back. Strike on John Jaso, and Bob, by the way, really appreciates so many Bucco fans reaching out, passing along sympathies and condolences. So on his behalf, we thank you. A couple of quick strikes on Jaso. Last now back in the dugout after that long bottom of the first.
Well, there's that big curveball, just 73 miles per hour, missing well off the outside part of the plate. Not going to get many chases out there.
Votto down to a knee, knocks it down. Feldman gets to the bag.
I saw Joey Votto working on that in similar plays earlier today. Catching the ball deep, back of the infield dirt, working on throwing to a pitcher. They had a pitcher covering the bag for him.
Ray Searage going over that lineup, trying to encourage Tyler Glass now. There's Jose Osuna, 0 for 3 and hit by a pitch last night. His 7th major league start. Has 9 hits and 28 at bats. Deep to right, but it will go foul. Looked like it was definitely going to go foul, and then the more the ball traveled, the more you wondered, and Jose Osuna did as well, that that ball perhaps had a shot at staying fair.
did such a good job of staying on it. A little cutter away that hit off the barrel the other way.
24 years old from Venezuela. 6'3", 230 pounds. And lines it to third. Easy for Suarez, 2 down. Ground out, line out, and it brings up Elias Diaz. Scott Feldman, a serviceable big league pitcher, providing the Reds experience in that rotation. Parts of 8 seasons with the Rangers, came to the big leagues as a reliever. And the strike on Diaz. His first major league start was July 24th last year against the Phillies. Was 0 for 4 with an RBI and picked off a runner. He missed the majority of last season, had elbow surgery on May the 3rd. Later in the year, a leg infection shut him down. Batting .305 in 15 games at AAA Indy this season. He came up yesterday. John Borman, that great story from Sunday. Well, they thought they had him, but Tom Hallion didn't see it that way. 2-2 on Elias Diaz.
Well, again, the curveball with 2 strikes. Did he go? I thought he checked it. Watch.
Right toward that first base dugout. 2-2. Here's Bronson Arroyo.
Another veteran, 13 plus years in the big leagues.
Duck out of the way. Diaz caught looking. 6 up, 6 down for Feldman. 3-0 Redlegs.
On Twitter Tuesday, Gift Ngope was our special guest tonight. I'm Robbie Mikowski, and Gift was asked by Ryan, who did you first call when you received the call to come up to the big leagues for the first time?
My little brother, Victor Ngope. I called him, and he had been to be at Pirate City in his room, and I called him. He jumped up and down with joy, and he couldn't believe that I'm actually going to the big leagues. And he ran downstairs and called one of my friends, Josh Hamp, and hugged him. And he's like, "Gift's going to the big leagues. He's made it." And it was a great day for him.
Greg and John, could you imagine that moment with Victor Ngope, who we talked to when we were in Miami over the weekend? Such a well-spoken young man, and they have a third brother, the oldest of the 3 Ngope brothers, Christopher. So the whole family celebrating Gift's first call, but obviously a phone call that Victor will never, ever, ever forget.
You know, I don't think any of us even will forget that moment. He came on at the PNC Park the other day. You know the story now, the first player ever from South Africa, first player ever from the continent of Africa, and what a touching story he wrote in the Players Tribune yesterday about the whole experience, entitled "We Have Made History." Thinking about his mom, who passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah, amazing stuff. That's always helpful.
He goes, it's a 3-pitch strikeout of Billy Hamilton the second time he sees him.
You know, ahead with the fastball. Talk about the fastball command. He got ahead through in the zone to Feldman. The pitcher struck him out quickly, and then fastball to Hamilton, curveball to Hamilton, and then gets the chase.
On the Allegheny Health Network Supermo, you see it. Strike one with that fastball. Well, he struck out Feldman right away, Hamilton, and now he's 0-2. Can he make it an immaculate inning? No.
Yeah, you wonder if he even realized that was the 9th pitch, correct?
Yep.
If he could have started that one in the zone a little more.
To retire Cozart right here.
Change up.
Strikes out the side in order. 3-0 Reds through 2 innings. By his pitching coach, Ray Searage. That is what I'm talking about, young man.
consistently get ahead in the count with that fastball, and he has weapons to finish major league hitters.
Alan Hansen leads off against Scott Feldman. Hansen's 4th start. 9th major league start, going back to his handful of opportunities last year. A 24-year-old from the Dominican Republic. He made his first big league start right here in Cincinnati, September 17th last year. He might have gotten a break there. The home plate umpire did not call that a strike. Now they're appealing, and by that time, too late in stereo. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phil Cuzzy. Two and 1 on Hansen. He gets the start at second base as Clint Hurdle. Not a ton of options in terms of offense, but he's trying to, he believes, put the best offense out there. And this could be a lot of fun as Hamilton can run, but Hansen can fly. And he's headed to third base, and he is there with a triple.
Nicely done, splitting that gap out there, and with Billy Hamilton's speed, it's hard to get 3 because you know he's going to track the ball down and get it in quickly. You see the pitch, that's middle at 89. So Hansen right on the button, thinking triple right out of the box. And Hamilton had to dig it out, a little bit of a low throw, misses that first cutoff man.
Second big league triple for him. The infield will concede a run. Big spot here for Jordy Mercer with Glass now on deck. Got to get that run in. Mercer hitless in his last 8 at bats. And that'll do the trick. Deep to right field. Schebler going back toward the track and over his head. So Mercer into second base with an RBI double. It's 3-1.
That's the one thing about this ballpark. You give up 3 early, so what?
It's kind of like Coors Field a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as drastic, but yeah, 3 runs is manageable early in this ballpark.
Anything can happen. This is another elevated pitch, middle of the plate, and when you're trying to get a runner in from third, and you don't have a hard thrower, Feldman, he's up in the zone. It's easy to hit a ball in the air. And Jordy, just a little more oomph, would have been a 2-run homer.
Glass now wants to move him to third base now as Hansen trots in and swinging away. And now Joey Cora wants to tell him you're supposed to be bunting.
Yeah, that is a shocker. And so no secrets.
Old Rocky Bridges.
Yeah.
Used to manage in the minor leagues, the late great Rocky Bridges, and he would forego any signs. He would just act like pretend he's bunting.
Yeah.
Motion it in the third base coaching box.
Sometimes he'd yell, bunt.
Yeah. Right back to the pitcher and out at third base. Byard's going to make sure that Suarez applied the tag of Mercer.
Easily the throw there very, very early. Suarez.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one of the easier bunts, sacrificing a runner from second to third when there's no wheel play on. You bunt the third baseman, it's going to be successful almost every time. Hard not to be. And make the third baseman field it. The runner can trot from second to third. Bunt it to the pitcher or the first baseman. a tougher go, especially when there's no force at third. I mean, that's usually the least stressful bunt situation.
On a strike on Harrison. Tried to bunt for a hit. First pitch from Feldman. Struck out looking in the first. Josh Harrison is the 9th toughest batter to strike out of the National League. But in the hole, 1-2.
I don't see J.A. swing and miss too many fastballs, especially in the zone. Maybe out of the zone, but when they're in the strike zone, he doesn't swing through fastballs.
Stays 1-2 on him. 4 home runs this season. Hitting over 350 on this road trip. Caught looking for a second straight time. All 3 of Feldman's strikeouts called. Not swinging.
J.A. didn't like the first inning strikeout. No argument here. That ball was a cutter. That pitch was started off the plate and had delayed cut. He throws the 2-seamer that'll run in off the plate or backdoor it. That one, he started off the plate in and cut it over the corner.
A little flare caught by Suarez. Pirates get 1. Didn't take advantage of the Mercer double. The double from Mercer, but he was at second base with nobody out. They couldn't move him. He was erased on that bunt by Glasnow. Allegheny Health Network injury update. Adam Frazier is starting to do some baseball work. Glenn Hurdle said they expect to assign him to a minor league club later in the week. Left hamstring strain has him on the shelf. David Freese, strained right hamstring. He's going to take a little bit longer, but Frazier is eligible to come off the 10-day disabled list tomorrow. So we'll see if Glasnow can forget about that mistake bunt, which hurt him and the opportunity to get a second run. He faces Votto for a second time. Votto hit that 449-foot home run in the first inning. Glass now jumped ahead of the 3 hitters he saw in the second. Falls behind Votto 2-0 in the third. Changeup comes up empty. This is the home run Votto hit in the first inning. Merrill Automotive League leaders. Home runs. Votto now with 9. Eric Thames, Ryan Zimmerman atop the list with 11. Three and one. He walks Votto to start the inning. Four walks to go along with the 3 strikeouts. He has now walked 17 in about 17 innings.
Always easier when you're able to get out in front.
Votto 1 for 2 in the stolen base department. Last year swiped 8 of 9. Nice little pick there. Don't get the double play.
Jay, as he fields this, it kind of comes up on the heel of his glove. He does a good job of making sure he gets a grip and getting off a throw, but he had to go a few steps to his left. And you'll see some white after he catches it. There it is, right in the heel. So grabs it, gets it to Hansen. Ooh, maybe. Pretty close.
Eugenio Suarez lined out to Andrew McCutchen in the first inning. There's another look at that play at first base.
Yeah, pretty much a dead heat.
Tom Hallion, veteran umpire at first. 2-0 now on Suarez. Duvall has a couple of steals this season in 3 attempts. Not much of a lead for him. And now Glass now falls behind 3-1. Pirates selected Glass now in the 5th round in 2011 out of Hart High School near Los Angeles. Made 7 appearances in the major leagues last year, 4 starts.
That's a good spot when you're behind with a fastball. 95. A little above the knee, but on the outside part of the plate. See what he goes to with the full count.
Does he have enough confidence in that curveball?
That's what Diaz put down.
Runner goes. And it's bounced right to Hansen, but he drops it. And they get an out. Nearly another error. Hansen was desperately trying to get the ball, and he was on the bag and turned it into a double play.
Yeah, thought for a moment off the bat that that might be perfect with Hansen breaking for the bag. That kind of fielded it right there at second, but a little bit to the shortstop side of second. Just a little bit of an in-between hop. But good job staying with it. About a half a step.
Good job, Josh Bell. Scott Schebler now. Duvall at second with 2 down. And now Glasnow out in front, 0-2.
Yeah, after that first inning where he was about 50-50 balls and strikes, have been better. Quick second inning, just 11 pitches, 15 here. Quick, an opportunity if he can get Schebler. Get through this third and 16 pitches.
That's the thing that is also befuddling about Tyler Glasnow. We talked about it so much. The inconsistency of that fastball. That was kind of where he sat for a long time. 97, 98. It's in the minor leagues, but it's been inconsistent in the big leagues. Dominated at the minor league level. Last season at Indy, 8-3, a 187 ERA. Struck out 133 in 111 innings. Hunter breaks for third. That'll do it. Leadoff walk. Glasnow retires the next 3. Pirates trail by a couple.
RAV 4th inning. Toyota, what drives you?
We are back here in Cincinnati. We have a great Hall of Fame building right next to Great American Ballpark, and there is a great catcher, Johnny Bench. Number 5 on that big red machine. One of the reasons they won championships in 75 and 76 with Bench. They won again in 1990. And these two clubs matched up Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds over the years. In fact, they matched up in the National League Championship Series in 1970, 72, 75, and 79.
Have you been to a World Series? 79?
Yes.
That was it? Since 79?
Was it a game in Cleveland with the Braves? What year would that have been?
Is that the year the Braves won? 95?
I think so. 95, yeah. You? World Series?
Just
97.
just
You were in it, weren't you?
Well, I was a spectator.
Well,
I mean,
your team was in it.
yeah.
You were part of the club.
I mean, I just assumed. I assumed you were there in '79. I wouldn't know when you would have been after that. What made you go in '95? Just.
It's a good question. I think someone from our radio station brought a group, drove us out there, I believe. For fun.
Yeah.
Just see a World Series.
That's a neat environment.
Yep.
Crazy. Last year would have been crazy. Cleveland and Chicago.
Scott Feldman, speaking of World Series, he's been involved in postseason with the Texas Rangers. And that looks like it's going out of play. McCutchen bounced out in the first. Feldman will forever be remembered as the player, along with catcher Steve Clevenger, traded from the Chicago Cubs to the Baltimore Orioles for Pedro Strop, who's done a really nice job in the Cub bullpen, and Jake Arrieta. I wonder what kind of pressure that puts on someone like Feldman. After a deal like that, he made 15 starts for the Orioles the second half of that 2013 season after the trade, a .427 ERA. Pitched for the Astros parts of 3 seasons. And there's ball 4. And McCutchen leads off with a walk. Feldman was born in Kailua, Hawaii in 1983. His father, Marshall Feldman, his late father, who passed away just 3 years ago, joined the Army after graduating from Duquesne. He was a baseball player for the Dukes.
Really?
His dad. Later, his father attended graduate school at Florida State, served as a police officer in West Palm Beach, and then began a 30-year career as an FBI agent. As Jaso checks his swing, takes ball 1. His dad, Marshall Feldman, assigned to offices in the FBI in Detroit, San Francisco, and Hawaii, where Scott was born again in 1983. His dad graduated from Uniontown High School. That ball is off of Votto's glove, so it's a fair ball. And into the corner it goes. And McCutchen is going to be held at third. Looked like Schebler was having a little bit of trouble getting the ball out of his glove, but the Pirates in business here with runners at second and third and nobody out. If Votto flags that down, you wonder, is that a double play?
Yeah, a couple of things. Yeah, if he flags it down, it should be a double play. It's almost impossible for a runner to get back if he's taking the lead off first and there's a line drive right at the first baseman who's holding them on. I'm wondering if it's fair if he doesn't hit it. You know,
I don't think it would have been.
I thought it was going to go foul. It was off the glove, obviously in fair territories. That's why Tom Hallion, the crew chief, calls it fair. But that ball's hooking, so if Votto lets it go, good chance it's just a strike.
So a couple big breaks there for the Pirates, and now Jose Osuna. Chopper over his head, cut off by the shortstop, and oh brother, Jaso is thrown out. But the Pirates get a run. Osuna gets the RBI. Great job by Cozart. So that ball is going to sneak into left field. McCutchen the walk, goes to third on the double, and he scores. It's a 3-2 game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to make the commitment one way or the other. If you read it over the third baseman's head, you got to go or you don't. And you see Jaso there, he froze. And by him freezing, the Reds only have the one play at third. No way that they get Osuna at first base. That would have been a base hit. Now it turns into a fielder's choice. Could have been first and second, nobody out. But a run closer are the Pirates.
Third RBI for Jose Osuna. Elias Diaz struck out looking his first time up and looks at the curveball, ball one. So Jaso doubles off of Votto's glove, but is thrown out 6-5 at third base. Elias Diaz, if he gets a hold of one, he has tremendous power. Hasn't translated into a ton of home runs in his minor league career, but he definitely is a strong young man. Again, out of Maracaibo, Venezuela. Figures to be the Pirates catcher of the future, not too distant future. Two and one as Feldman walked McCutchen to start the inning. Talked about his dad out of Uniontown High School, then on to Duquesne. After he retired from the FBI in 1999, he served as a security representative for the National Football League for 10 years and was assigned to the 49ers. So Feldman, who grew up in the San Francisco area, attended a bunch of games at Candlestick to watch both the Giants and the 49ers. 1 year after he made his major league debut, his father, Marshall, diagnosed with brain cancer. Long battle. And passed away April 9th, 2014.
FBI agent would be fun. I think it'd be cool.
So, yeah, I agree. He said his dad would get involved in a lot of undercover operations. Would have to disguise himself at times as the 3-2 pitch with one out. Osuna takes off. Feldman again came to the big leagues as a reliever, made the transition into a starting role with the Texas Rangers in 2008. Foul ball. It stays 3-2. Osuna taking off again.
Discuss things as Tyler Glass now looks on, hoping the Pirates can flip the score.
Gets himself a cup of coffee. Osuna in left field. El Cafe, Gregory Polanco with the night off. And Hurdle said he's been playing a lot. And again, the runner takes off, and it's toward the right center field gap. Over is the right fielder Schebler. Back to first goes Diaz. Goes Osuna, rather. And the Diaz fly out to right center.
Yeah, not a bad approach. He stayed inside it, gave it a decent ride. Didn't get all of it, but nice little running play out there in right.
An extended at bat ends with a fly out.
He's still looking for his first hit.
Yeah, he is 0 for 8 in the major leagues now. Elias Diaz, now Alan Hansen, the triple, and scored last inning.
Pirates still looking for their first single of the series. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
6 hits, all extra bases, 3 homers last night.
Two doubles and a triple tonight. There's a line drive to right field. Oh, and Schebler can't make the catch, but does keep it in front of him and fires it all the way to third. And it's first and third with 2 outs as Alan Hansen is 2 for 2. Base hit to right. Clint Hurdle had a hunch about Hansen, and it's paying off.
Yeah, not 2 hard hit balls. A little top spin on this one. Not sure if Schebler was just going over to cut it off or if he thought he had a play on that, but the angle was not good.
If that gets past him,
and
who knows what happens.
Yeah, he gives up the body off the right arm. If that goes to the wall, you figure Hansen at least on third.
Jordy Mercer doubled home the run last inning, and there goes the runner from first, and Hansen will be at second base without a play.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good play, though. I was just about to say Hansen with the throw to third, maybe he could have got to second, but I thought he was better off at first base to let Jordy Mercer swing. So now you send Hansen, you take the bat out of Mercer's hands.
They intentionally walk Jordy Mercer.
Yeah, that's a situation where you're probably better served to just shut the running game down at first and third. See if they give Mercer anything to hit.
Aren't there signs for, oh, there's a ball headed up the middle, and Tyler Glass now with a base hit, and this is going to score a couple. Hamilton overruns it, and the Pirates with Tyler Glass now brings in 2, and the Pirates lead it 4-3.
How about that? It works out perfectly for the Pirates. Hansen steals second. It leaves first base open. They put Jordy Mercer on, and Tyler Glass now comes up with the big 2 RBI base hit.
His first career RBIs. It is his second major league hit. He failed to move a runner last inning with a bunt. And here he comes up after the intentional walk and delivers the base hit.
How about that?
That's baseball.
Yeah. Drive in more than you let in.
E8 allowing the runner to go to third, but it's a 2-run single for Tyler Glass now. Hamilton overran it. Mercer able to go to third base. Harrison has had trouble here with Feldman.
And fooled by that curveball. Went to guessing.
One ball, one strike. And a fly ball hit to left field, and this is a no-doubter. Clear the deck. Cannonball coming. How about Jay Hay in Cincinnati? Feeling right at home. 2 home runs last night. This one a 3-run bomb. He has 5 on the young season, and the Bucks have taken a 7-3 lead.
How about that? You just mentioned Jay Hay struck out looking twice his first 2 at bats. Looking bad on the curveball, a 1-1 count, and then out of nowhere Feldman tries to sneak a fastball by him inside. Talked about yesterday, perhaps a couple wall scrapers for Jay Hay. One to right, one to left. This was no wall scraper. This was a bomb.
How proud is Mom right now? There in the middle.
Watch the fastball. Watch it come in. Up and in. Man. Crushed it.
385 feet.
My guess is I didn't think Feldman, that kind of look on his face was like, how did he do that? How did he go up and get that one?
Most home runs already in a season for Harrison since he hit 13 in 2014. His 5 home runs.
The leg kick, the tomahawk. Short and quick. Launch angle. No doubter.
Popped up. Suarez makes the catch. Feldman doesn't know what hit him. Josh Harrison hit him. A 3-run homer for J-Hay, and the Pirates send 9 to the plate. They now have the lead. It's wild here in Cincy. Josh Harrison, 2 home runs last night, first multi-homer game of his career. And after striking out his first 2 times up against Feldman, his 3rd time up, a no-doubt home run. Part of a 6-run rally. Alan Hansen has 2 hits. He has scored 2 runs. Just incredible how it's what makes this game so fantastic, the game of baseball. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. I thought that the Pirates may have been doomed by the stolen base from Hansen. And 2 swings later, a 4-run lead.
The stolen base by Hansen opens the door for them to walk Mercer, which they do with first base open. Glass now foils the strategy with a 2-run single and then the Harrison home run. I was just about to ask you before the Glass now hit, as a base runner, can you get some stop signs like don't go?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a sign that says no running.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting question for Clint Hurdle. All popped up, and there is the first out. Peraza retired. Did Hansen, you know, we don't know how many times during a game players, both sides, miss signs. We have no idea, right?
Right. And normally, well, in the past, the signs I've seen, when the not run sign is not a series of signs. It's one particular thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, whatever. You might put your hand on the hat or put your hand around your neck. Just something that says you're not going.
There's Rocco with a fly ball to left. There's Osuna in left center.
And boy, oh boy. And Tyler Glasnow more efficient.
I mean, in the first inning, we're talking about what a crazy game. Is there any way anybody predicted that he would be out on the mound longer than Scott Feldman?
I know.
Feldman is lifted for a pinch hitter.
There you see the 36 pitches in the first for Tyler Glasnow. Feldman had a very quick top of the half first inning. And really, you look at the first 3 for Feldman. Retired 9 of 11. And then just the offense exploding in the fourth. And now Tyler Glasnow 4 outs away, perhaps from his first big league victory.
Arismendi Alcantara pinch hitting for Feldman. He pinch ran in the 10th inning last night and scored the winning run on the Billy Hamilton base hit. Robert Stevenson will be the new pitcher. Scott Feldman out after 4 innings of work.
Behind 3-1, you figure he's going to try to pump this one right down the middle. Diaz probably shouldn't even mess around. Just put down the one, set up center cut.
That's a fair ball inside the bag and goes all the way into the corner. Oh, brother. Thankfully, it's just a triple. Started to bounce around like a hockey puck around the boards. And Alcantara has the pinch hit triple.
Yeah, you have to make him earn it, and not a walk. So Tyler Glasnow does throw it down there and just over the bag and past Josh Bell. Alcantara, easy triple. Coasting in the third.
Blocked there by Diaz.
Nicely done. Ooh, pretty good pitch there.
Chance that Carapazza might have heard something from the dugout.
Man, how do you miss that pitch? That's impossible.
I don't know.
My goodness gracious. And another
Whoa.
one. What is going on?
What? Now he's definitely hearing from Clint Hurdle. Wow, 3-0. Tom Prince there. But Clint Hurdle, I think, has been barking.
Yeah, you can hear Clint Hurdle say, no, that ball is not down.
Well, if anybody doesn't need help, it's Billy Hamilton against the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously with Glasnow and some command issues. I mean, wow.
Roller right side. Whoa. Hamilton really runs down that line fast. Made that pretty close, but Glasnow and the Pirates get out of it.
Malibu and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive, we're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
7-3 Pirates lead. Head to the 5th.
Tyler Glass now gets back to the dugout. Pat from pitching coach Ray Searage. Big smile. Settling in after a rough first inning. Tyler Glass now. And plus a congratulatory high five for the big base hit.
Robert Stevenson, the new Reds pitcher.
8.71 ERA. A lot of walks for Stevenson. 10 and 10 1/3.
Reds are tough when they've got a lead. They started to put together a pretty strong bullpen in the later innings, but Stevenson has not enjoyed as much success yet. He made 8 starts last year, including one against the Pirates. 2-3, 6.08 ERA. A first-round pick by Cincinnati 6 years ago. Three and 1 on Andrew McCutchen, who has extended his on-base streak to 21 straight games. The walk that started things last inning, and I thought that might have been ball 4. Some of the Pirates bench are really getting angry now.
Everybody in there. I mean, there's at least a handful of guys screaming at the home plate umpire.
Line toward left field, and the catch made by Duvall.
What's interesting, after watching the strike zone there and seeing where that 5th pitch was, it was pretty similar to the pitch that Glasnow didn't get, that the Pirates were arguing.
Yeah, you wonder if they were yelling for that reason.
Exactly. Well, that's the same pitch
Right?
you were calling the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Right.
Mazaraco says something to Jaso that got the Pirates right fielder to crack a smile. He doubled after the McCutchen walk. Doubled off of Votto's glove. And remember, he was thrown out on the chopper by Osuna on the left side of the infield. Cozart went far to his right, cut the ball off, and threw to Suarez to tag out Jaso for the first out of the inning. Then Elias Diaz followed with a fly out, and the Bucks did the rest of their work with 2 outs. Alan Hansen the hit, Jordy Mercer the intentional walk following the stolen base, and the surprise single by Glasnow and the 3-run homer by Harrison.
A bunch of change-ups here to Jaso from Stevenson, who can get the fastball up in the mid-90s, but against lefties really likes to go to that changeup. And that's a good one, another one.
2 outs brings up Osuna. Sunday, Kids Days at PNC Park. Pirates will take on the Brewers at 1:35 this Sunday. Fun before the game, during the game, and after the game. And kids 14 and under get a jump rope. Compliments of Allegheny Health Network. This coming Sunday, go to pirates.com/kidsdays for tickets. Think about bringing the kids out for the Sunday game. Don't forget the fireworks night Friday, the free shirt Saturday, and the final game of the homestand, the brief 3-game homestand, is coming Sunday. All smiles right now. Broken bat, look out. All toward the line, and that is going to be extra bases for Osuna if he hustles. He thought maybe that ball was going to be foul.
So did I.
And broken bat, somehow it stays fair.
Not only does it stay fair, but look how far it went.
Way fair, right?
It was way fair, and the barrel ended up by the third baseman Suarez, and this ball went like 310 feet. And he wasn't sure. Then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Look how far that travels.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Strong man.
Well, yeah, he put on a nice display today in batting practice. Homer after homer, straightaway center field.
Elias Diaz 0 for 2. The ball to the warning, toward the warning track in right center field his last time, and a scramble for Mesoraco. A 2-out double for Jose Osuna. He has 10 hits now in 31 at bats, 3 doubles, 2 triples. The Young Bucks trying to get the Pirates their first win of the season series against the Reds. Stevenson went 8-9 with a 4.41 ERA at AAA Louisville last year. Chopped right side. Peraza throws out Diaz. Pirates and Tyler Glass now leading 7-3.
Fifth, 7-3 Pirates, thanks in large part to a big home run from Josh Harrison, a three-run home run with 2 outs, as we're joined by Josh's mom, Benita. Now, Benita, it's not a story that Josh is playing in Cincinnati. He's done that many a times. But how much do you still manage to enjoy this, and how does this never get old watching your son perform like he does in his hometown?
I think it's repetition. We do it over and over. I was raised that way. I'm still growing up. It's just what we do.
So what's up with this power stroke here? 3 home runs in the last 2 nights. What's going on?
You know, I told him today, I said, do it again. Just do it. You know, let them know what they're missing. But not that we want him to come here. No. We just need them to know what they're missing.
There's your son right now. All right, that's an easy grab for him. That's no sweat, Benita. So how much of this is home cooking? He doesn't stay at the hotel with the team. He stays at home. So how much different is it for him being, quote-unquote, on the road?
I think he just rests a little more, being in your own bed, you know, just being surrounded by people. You know, in every corner, someone's there. You can call and someone's there. Just knowing you're there. Home, family.
It's fantastic. Now, one last thing. We look around. Your husband, Vince, is sitting back there a couple rows with your son, Sean. How big is the Harrison contingent?
Oh, it's never ending. It's infinity. How's that?
And one thing you realize, Greg, every single time we come here, when you look up in this section, you are guaranteed to find somewhere between 15, 20, maybe more members of the entire Harrison clan. So Mom Benita, Vince is over there, Sean, big brother Sean's over there somewhere, in a whole other slew of Harrisons and Shelbys.
So much fun. They are really enjoying watching Josh Harrison, who a couple years ago, just as the start of the season started here in Cincinnati, the Pirates announced that they had signed him to a 4-year contract extension with 2 club options. The other way and out of play. The first 2 retired, Cozart and Votto. And now a quick strike on Duvall after the foul ball. And 1 more out for Glasnow to get in order to qualify.
And who knows, maybe go into the 6th. He's still in the 80s, 85 pitches.
Pop them up.
Stay in, looks good.
Josh Bell called off, and Alan Hansen makes the catch. 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Glasnow. Bucks up by 4. His last at bat. He'll be due up 3rd here in the 6th inning. Day Automotive, this day in Pirates history, May 2nd, 1987. Pirates shut out the Giants at Three River Stadium 1-0. Sid Bream scores the only run. It came in the 8th inning. Bob Walk started, gave up 3 hits over 6. John Smiley, however, would get the win in relief. And had 1 run coming when Sid Bream decided to run past Gene Lamont's stop sign on a ground ball to the right side of the infield that deflected off of Will Clark's glove. Alan Hansen will be a quick out to begin the 6th. Walkie didn't know he was going to start that day. In fact, he wasn't scheduled to. It was Bob Kipper's game to start, but moments before the first pitch was scheduled, Kipper scratched with back tightness. So Bob Walk, 7 minutes before game time, told he would have to start, and he did, and pitched a good one. Jordy Mercer has doubled in a run and walked intentionally. Bob Hertzl wrote the story in the Pittsburgh Press the next day about that start for Bob, and Hertz wrote, Walk was half asleep when told 7 minutes before game time he would start. There's a Fly ball by Mercer, 2 down. And then Walk went out and pitched that strong game against the Giants. He ran into trouble, according to the game story by Bob Hertzel, as the Giants threatened in the second, but struck out 3 in a row, did Walk. And the quote from Bob, "I don't strike out nobody unless I have to." That's right. Where Bob was, he's supposed to be seated there next to Joe, and he's just now arriving with 2 outs in this inning. Ball 1 on Tyler Glass now.
He knew how to pitch, Bob Walk. He figured it out.
Foul tipped.
Big strike zone with Tyler Glass now up there.
Robert Stevenson, his second inning of work following Scott Feldman. And now it is 3-2 on Glass now. Wow. Huh.
Go figure.
Go figure is right.
All that strike zone to work with.
Goodness. Robert Stevenson has now walked 11 batters in 12 innings. And now here he is. Josh Harrison. Robbie just talked to Mom. She told him, hit another one.
It's that easy.
Yep. Show them what they're missing here in Cincinnati.
You'll just do just about anything for Mom, won't you?
Yep. He was drafted by the Cubs out of the University of Cincinnati. That was in 2008. He was a 6th round pick. The Pirates got him in a trade deadline deal in July of 09. 0-2. You might know that story. The Pirates sent 2 left-handed pitchers to the Cubs, Tom Gorzolani and John Grabo, and the hope was they were going to get 2 pitchers, at least one of them a starter in Kevin Hart from the Cubs, and Jose Ascanio the other pitcher. Here's who's bringing the lumber, brought to you by Yellowwood. Josh Harrison's home run. Number 5 on the year, and pointing to his family. 2 last night. So you wouldn't say Jay Hay was a throw into that deal, but when the trade was made, the real talk was about the pitchers they got, Hart and Ascanio.
Yeah, how about that? Neither obviously worked out.
So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Josh Harrison, who emerged first as a utility type player bouncing around, and then last year went into the season as a starting second baseman. But with Jung Ho Kang out at the start of the year, the Pirates told him in spring training, we might ask you to bounce around again. And now here he is playing third base almost every night with David Freese on the shelf. An all-star in 2014. Stevenson strikes him out. Second K for Stevenson. Going to the bottom of the 6th inning. 4-run lead for Tyler Glass now on the Buccos. Cincinnati, the Pirates up by 4 runs. Tyler Glass now, and just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. What a turnaround. An incredibly difficult first inning where he walked 3 batters, gave up the home run to Votto. Looked like he might not even finish that inning, let alone go as many as 5, and now into the 6th inning. As you see that pitch count at 86. He struck out the side in order in the 2nd, walked Joey Votto to start the 3rd. Gift Ngope now takes over at second base as a defensive replacement. Glass now gave up a 2-out triple in the 4th, and a ball hit just inside the first base bag, and first pitch swinging is Suarez. He has lined out and bounced out. Oh, 0-1 the count. And a base hit. Leadoff single. We would imagine that Clint Hurdle will not let Glass now get too deep into a mess, that he will be looking very closely. He has to be thrilled that he's gotten 6. David Blanc starts to loosen. You want the team to win, but you also want Glass now to get that first major league W.
And, you know, with pitch count where it is, you figure he only has, you know, maybe another 15 or so, where he's 89 thus far. But boy, yeah, you're right, Greg. As far as that first inning, I know I took a peek into the bullpen. You had to wonder.
It looked like some guys were taking their jacket off, you know, like they were expecting a phone call.
And man, after that 3-run homer, still had a couple base runners after that in the first, but pretty smooth sailing.
Won't it be fun to ask Ray Searage and Glass now himself, what was it that flipped the switch? .99 there.
How about that?
Ray Searage went out and delivered with, thought we were able to read lips. And so Ray Searage said, get ticked off, get mad.
Yeah. Turn it up a notch. And I don't think he was happy with that last curveball. He wanted to bury it in the dirt, left it up, but Schebler way out in front.
Glass now wanted to make that the best breaking pitch he's thrown all night. See the pitches by inning 36. 8 men came to the plate in the first. Then 11, 18, 16, and quick 5th inning. Gets him for his 4th strikeout of the game.
Big bender. And again, we talked about him missing location with the fastball middle of the plate, and you don't get away with it as much as that curveball. It's a good curveball. And again, he didn't want to leave it up that high, middle in, but the late break, the downward action gets the whiff.
Peraza 1 for 2.
But even there, like the 94-mile-per-hour fastball,
again, a range we're seeing even here in the 6th from 99, 94. I mean, it just looks like there's more life to it now than it was earlier.
Yeah, and that finish, you can see that's a great shot of it there.
I mean, a very late swing.
Yeah.
And, caught it real deep, did Peraza. Kind of shanked the other way. And now you almost look at the pace and the way he's walking around, and there's so much more confidence, it seems like.
He has been frustrated because we've asked him a couple times this year, in fact, after his previous start, you're encouraged by getting better each time, and kind of dismissed that. I'm better than this. And another strikeout.
Another nasty curveball. Away with the fastball, in with the fastball. Now this curveball, watch the bottom. When he gets it down, it just disappears. I mean, that thing broke straight down. And like the hitter, that looks like a strike until about halfway there, and then it ends up almost in the dirt.
Another great look from the Allegheny Health Network Supermo as Tyler Glasnow looks for the final out of the 6th inning, and more than likely last inning of the night. And he starts Mesoraco off with that breaking ball.
Diaz makes it look easy.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
Yeah, that ball hit maybe 2 feet in front of home plate, and he just squares it up perfectly. Right where you want it, just to kind of land softly in front of you.
Hard but foul. Line drive. Foul.
And Tyler's thinking, oh, that's a fastball at 96 too, and Mesoraco out in front. And so, you know, he's sitting dead red heat. And again, Glasnow in line for the win. A line of 6 runs, or 6 innings, 3 runs looks a lot better.
See if he goes for the breaking ball in the dirt again. Gets the strikeouts. No, he doesn't. Mesoraco leaves that pitch easily. 2-2, another block from Diaz. Glasnow's longest outing of his career. This again only his 9th major league start tonight. Look to finish off the 6th inning. And a remarkable turnaround for him. Mesoraco fooled. Foul ball, says the third base umpire.
That last bounce must have really had a lot of top spin and kicked way to Josh Harrison's right, because this landed a good 6 inches fair before the bag, and then watch it take off after this last bounce. Hit the lip.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Glasnow trying to finish off Mesoraco and finish off what has turned out to be an impressive night. Three and 2. Glasnow was in line to get his first big league win back on the 21st of April against the Yankees. He and the Pirates had a 4-1 lead going into the 5th inning. He retired the first 2 men easily, then gave up a couple of hits to Jacoby Ellsbury and Aaron Judge. There was an error on a Greg Bird ground ball, and that was it for him. Pirates won the game 6-3, but a no decision for Glasnow. Ground ball short. Mercer on the first. Tyler Glasnow heads off the mound with his best start as a major leaguer and a chance to get the win. back in the dugout, finished for the night, getting hugs from his teammates. Boy, it has to feel awfully good, and give him a lot of credit. And it did not look good in that first inning.
Yeah, you wonder what a young pitcher's going to do that's been struggling, especially after that rough inning. And boy, he came back in a big way after the rough first. Had the good curveball going. The fastball command got better. Strikeout there, Schebler. Just 1 hit, 2 hits allowed after the first. Only 1 walk after that rough first inning. And mix in 2 RBIs and a run scored. Yeah, it evens out. You give up 3, you produce 3.
What a night for him. Ball 1 strike on Bell. He's 0 for 3. Third inning of work for Robert Stevenson. Deep to right, but foul. Point Park University tweets talking about Tyler Glasnow. Remarkable turnaround for sure. Definitely give him credit, hanging in there. It's line to center. Sort of knuckle on Hamilton.
And that ball, first long foul ball off the bat of Josh Bell. You'd like to see him turning on that fastball. The swing's gotten shorter and quicker. And after the long foul ball, got the changeup and was able to stay back on it, hit it hard, back up the middle. Bad luck.
McCutcheon with a fly ball to center. Tyler Glasnow, a look at his numbers. 6 innings, longest of his career. 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned. Struck out 5, walked 4. 105 pitches. 36 of those pitches were thrown in the first inning. 3 of those walks were given up in that inning. Drive to deep center field by Jaso. Off the wall. John Jaso into second base with his second double of the night.
And again, with the lineup for Clint Hurdle, throws Jaso in that cleanup spot. No RBIs, but the 2 doubles. Starting to swing the bat a little bit better. Center cut 96. It's a little more oomph, or a little bit higher. That ball may have ended up in the Reds bullpen.
See how close. Allegheny Health Network Supermo.
Whoa, way closer than I thought. I thought it hit more towards the bottom, just a couple of feet from being Jaso's first homer. Second homer.
Ball 1 on Osuna. Pirates with 8 hits, 6 of them for extra bases. Pair of doubles for Jaso. Pirates scoring 6 runs in the 4th. Jaso a part of that with his double. Osuna grounded a ball toward the left side of the infield with Jaso at second base. And he got credit for the RBI when McCutcheon scored, though Jaso was thrown out at third base. Two 2-1 count on Jose Osuna, making his 7th major league start. Talked about the inexperience in this Pirates lineup tonight, and including Tyler Glasnow, but the young Bucks have delivered. 2-2.
Hoping to get a board here and drive in a run, give Diaz a chance. Another shot at his first big league hit.
Stevenson giving Brian Price at least 3 innings. Trying to finish off his 3rd inning of work. Scott Feldman gave up 7 runs on 6 hits in his 4 frames. Stevenson gave up a 2-out double to Osuna in the 5th. A 2-out walk to Glasnow last inning.
Doesn't even look like he broke a sweat.
No. His next start will be Sunday at PNC Park against the Brewers. See how he fares against a surprising Brewers club. Willie Peralta will start on that kid's Sunday against Glasnow. Barrett Cole on Saturday night, Chad Kuhl on Friday. Those 3 games against the Brew Crew. Friday night, don't forget, we mentioned the Zambelli Fireworks Show to open up that very brief homestand. 7:05 first pitch. And Friday night, it'll be Matt Garza for the Brewers against Chad Kuhl. And after the game, spectacular Zambelli Fireworks Show. Get your tickets at pirates.com/fireworks. The Buccos and the Brewers as they hook up for the first time this season. Brewers are taking on the Cardinals tonight. It's 0-0 in St. Louis. Mac Jenkins, the pitching coach, out to talk to Stevenson.
The long walk and just a few words. I'm guessing to get the bullpen loosened up.
First and second for Elias Diaz. He is 0 for 9 to begin his big league career. Does have an RBI that was picked up in his start against the Phillies last summer. One and one. Who knows what would have happened with Diaz last year had he not gotten hurt, because Francisco Cervelli was out for quite a while with that hamate bone surgery, and even Chris Stewart went down. The Pirates used Eric Fryer a lot, but Diaz would have gotten a lot of playing time. Could have been a different story for him and the Pirates, for that matter. But his injuries, had the arthroscopic surgery to remove some bone chips in May, and then suffered that injury, a leg infection, in September, first day of September. Shut down. 3-1. And then you really have to wonder, going forward, if this foot situation with Cervelli keeps cropping up, and we're going to almost have to assume that it will. Saw it in spring training a couple times, a little bit early this year. Do you think the Pirates think about carrying 3 catchers?
Yeah, you have to wonder. It's hard to do nowadays when you're carrying 12 pitchers.
Chopper. Could this be his first big league hit? And it will be. He legs it out. Elias Diaz, his first major league hit. Chopper to the shortstop, Cozart, and the bases are loaded.
How about that? Probably not the way you'd want to draw it up. And the folks in the Pirates dugout trying to get the attention.
Tucker Barnhart knows what's going on.
Yeah, so there you have it. Just a little chopper, just out of the reach of the pitcher.
Jameson Tyone retrieved it, and now He will give it to the bat boy.
Congratulations.
Gift Ngopei's first at bat of the night. Came on defensively for Alan Hansen, who was 2 for 3 with a triple and 2 runs scored. This is Ngopei's 10th at bat. Blake Wood up in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Do I have this right, John? Ngopei, does he have 4 walks already? Is that possible?
It's possible. It is correct.
Oh my gosh.
4 walks, couple strikeouts. And a favorable count to open this thing up.
And it's 3-0.
Maybe not getting a call there. That was a borderline pitch down and away.
Gift Ngopei has drawn 4 walks in 13 major league plate appearances. He draws one here, he gets an RBI. Taking all the way, of course. Ngopei has already delivered his first major league run batted in. That came in Miami on Friday night when he was 3 for 3 and on base 5 times. Hit hard off the glove of Cozart. This is going to score 2. That was a bullet. And they'll Pirates will take 2 more and lead it now 9-3.
They're going to give him a base
give him a hit.
Why not? I mean, this ball was crushed. Perhaps some knuckling going on. And that's how you're supposed to hit a 3-1 pitch. I mean, it's a play as a shortstop you expect to make. You don't have to move very far. But, again, that thing was hit as hard as you can hit it.
2-run single for Gift Ngopei.
That looked like it hit off the outside or side of his glove.
2 runs in. Jaso and Osuna score. Diaz to third. Brian Price is making the pitching change. A double switch. The legend of Gift Ngopei continues to grow. 9-3 Bucks.
On Twitter Tuesday was asked by Ren, Gift, did you Gift, did you always play baseball or did you play a different sport as well?
I played rugby for 3 games. I remember that it was an amazing time for me because I've never played rugby, and my friend I was in business class with, and it was towards the end of school, and he had a rugby match that day, and he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, we need some players to play. Can you play rugby?" And I'm like, "I'm sure I could figure it out." You know, I mean, every sportsman would say that. And I'm like, "Just bring me the kit, and I'll be ready to play." And he brought the kit, and I sat bench for the first half. And the coach was like, "What position can you play?" I'm like, "I don't even know what position's what." But just throw me out there, and I'll do what I can. And he put me out to the wing, and I ended up scoring 2 tries that day. So it was a phenomenal day.
Well, Greg, you said the legend of Gift Ngope is growing. How about that little nugget? Pretty good rugby player as well. Who knew?
Isn't that something? That is cool. I just love hearing him talk and his brother. It just beautiful sound. As Ngope is at first base, this is a double switch, new battery. Blake Wood, Stuart Turner behind the plate. The Reds are carrying 3 catchers.
Hard throwing Blake Wood, 5.23 ERA, 2 losses in relief, 11 punch outs, 10 in the third. Wow.
97 up and in.
Almost looked like it ended up behind him somehow. I don't know how it missed that shoulder. I don't think Jordy was too certain that that pitch was going to miss him. Kept running in.
Leos Diaz has his first big league hit. And Gift Ngope picks up 2 more RBIs. His first at bat tonight. Mercer had a big run scoring double in the 3rd inning that brought in the first Pirates run as they were trailing 3-0. Hits this hard the other way, but foul. Part of a 10-hit attack. Two and two. Full count.
Jordy's been so good in these situations. Picked up his 10th hit already with runners in scoring position. Back in the 3rd. By far leads the team.
Yeah, that's been an area the Pirates have had trouble with this season. They are 5 for 8 tonight with runners in scoring position, and he'll draw the walk to load them up for, even though he's not going to be coming on to pitch, he's going to get a chance to hit again. Tyler Glass now. The Pirates a little bit short-handed. Cervelli not going to be able to contribute. Gift Ngope already in the game. Chris Stewart wouldn't be used. The other options, Phil Goslin and Gregory Polanco, but Clint Hurdle looking to give Polanco an entire night off. So we'll see if he can't deliver again. It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
I would think
not?
a relaxed atmosphere now. You know, you've done your job on the mound, and now just with your team leading by 6, give it a go. Two and 0.
So Tyler on the year has come to the plate 5 times, I think.
Yeah,
5 plate appearances.
Yeah. Well, 6 plate appearances, right?
I got 5.
So bases are loaded. 2-0 count. And now it's 3-0 on Tyler Glasnow. Picked up his first 2 runs batted in with that base hit in the 4th. And he's got another RBI.
How about that?
Back-to-back walks for Blake Wood, forcing home Elias Diaz with the 10th Pirates run.
Tyler Glass now with one fewer RBI than Gregory Plonk.
Sheesh. Wow.
That's a crazy game. You never know.
That's Gregory right there. Congratulating Elias Diaz. Venezuelan contingent there, Osuna and Diaz. And that ball sounded like it hit the batter, and breaking for the plate and safe there as Gift Ngope scores on the wild pitch. It is 11-3.
Boy, oh boy, yeah, I thought that got Jay. Sounded like it may have hit him, but by the reaction of the catcher and Josh, just a lot of movement, and just I guess the sound was the deflection off the mitt, or actually the umpire, home plate umpire, Victor Carapazza.
That was almost a great play, by the way.
Yeah.
Turner and Wood.
Good effort.
Closes the book on Stevenson, gives up 4 runs in 2 2/3 as Ngope, a 2-run single and a run scored in this inning. Sarcastic cheer from the crowd here. 13,909 paid attendance. And another one. This time Wood doesn't even get to the plate to cover. I don't know how Turner maybe didn't do as good a job as he had hoped to try and keep that ball from going back to the backstop, but the Pirates now with a dozen runs, 5 in this inning.
That little slider and didn't get down. I mean, you got to anticipate the ball in the dirt. You got to get down to the shin guards, keep it in front. And he just thought he could catch it, got under the glove.
That's a pass ball. Charged against Stuart Turner, the new catcher. So Jay with Glass now at third and 2 outs. This all happened with 2 outs.
Jay with a great series of 3 homers, but trying to avoid, oddly enough, his 4th strikeout.
He struck out 3 times tonight. We mentioned coming into this game the 9th toughest batter to strike out in the National League. Some real oddities tonight. And he walks. And Blake Wood has come in and walked 3 straight. Uncorked a wild pitch. His catcher has a pass ball, and Josh Bell will get his 2nd at bat in the inning.
First baseman, Josh Bell.
And Stevenson, you look at that line and you see the 4 earned runs and how cruel this game could be, because he actually did pretty good work. If the line drives caught, he gives up 0. And so he ends up with 4 earnings. Obviously, Wood comes in and couldn't get out of it. Allows the other runners to cross that belong to Stevenson.
Oh my goodness, almost again.
Yeah.
Wow. This has gotten really ugly for the Reds. 4 walks in the inning.
That time he gets down, does Turner.
Josh Bell 0 for 4. He is the only Pirate player not to at least have reached base tonight. And Wood gets him. But the Pirates, 10 men to the plate. It's a lapper, 12-3 in Cincy. This happened. Tyler Glasnow, part of a big inning, delivers a 2-run single. Josh Harrison later in the frame hits a 3-run bomb. That home run, his 5th of the season, 3rd in 2 games. And Tyler Glasnow settled down after the first 4 men in the game reached. Joey Votto hit a home run. He retires 16 of the last 19 he faces. An incredible turnaround for Tyler Glasnow and the Pirates. It looked dismal, bleak in that 3-run first. 5 of the first 7 men reached in that first inning, and then he retires 16 of the final 19 batters. He's played a big role in the offense as well. Wade LeBlanc comes now on in relief. It was a 3-2 game, to be specific, when Glasnow delivered that 2-run single that gave the Pirates the lead. Stuart Turner's first at bat, the new catcher. There's Mercer. 1 out. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Pirates baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Pirates home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Billy Hamilton walked to start that first inning, stole second, stole third, and he lines out to Gifton Gopay.
And you like that after that long top of the 7th inning. Get out here in the bottom half. 3 pitches, 2 outs. Go right back into the dugout. LeBlanc just pounding the zone with the big lead.
Zach Cozart followed the Hamilton walk in the first. Walked against Glasnow and struck out and had a high pop up. Lined into center. Zach Cozart's first hit of the game. Gifton Gopay came on defensively in the 6th, and moments ago you saw him with that 2-run single off Cozart's glove. And more Point Park University tweets, the gift that keeps on giving. He is fun to watch. He's enjoying himself. We're enjoying watching. Crushing the game of baseball right now.
A little surprised not in the starting lineup each of the first 2 games of this series. Gift.
Instead, it was Hansen tonight, as Glenn Hurdle was looking for some more offense, and Hansen, 2 hits, 2 runs, a triple. A dozen runs for the Bucks on 10 hits. Jose Osuna on base twice, has scored a pair, doubled himself in the 5th, drove in a run. Elias Diaz, saw him pick up his first big league hit. It was an infield single at the top of the 7th inning, and he scored. How about the Pirates scoring a dozen runs twice on this road trip?
Yeah.
Friday night in Miami and now here.
And a lot of it with 2-out clutch hitting.
Josh Harrison's 3-run homer came with 2 outs. 4-pitch walk.
After the 2 quick outs, talked about it, 3 pitches, 2 outs. Thought for a moment maybe 4 or 5 pitch inning. Now 2 on, 2 out.
He certainly figured that Clint Hurdle wants to get a couple of innings out of Wade LeBlanc. He told us before the game he also wants to get Tony Watson in the game, because Watson has not pitched since, we're going to go back to Wednesday in Pittsburgh. Ball 1 on Adam Duvall.
Yeah, I would think unless something crazy happens, LeBlanc should be able to get through 2.
No. 2-0. And here comes Ray Searage. Searage with his 2nd trip to the mound tonight. His first came in the very first inning. Tyler Glasnow struggling mightily. And the man they call Uncle Ray, who celebrated a birthday yesterday. Whatever he said to Glasnow, apparently it worked. I don't know if you got a chance to see the story in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend about Ray Searage, the work that he has done with the Pirates. Cool stuff.
Yeah, good guy, Ray. Pitchers love him. I think he loves his pitchers. Pretty much looking at him now, admiring his desk in the dugout. Garbage can.
That story by Jared Diamond, the weekend edition of the Wall Street Journal. Baseball's arm whisperer strikes again. Wade LeBlanc has gotten the chance to know Ray Searage. He's done good work with this veteran lefty. Bounced to third, and the play made at third base by Josh Harrison. 7 complete. Bucks have a dozen, leading 12-3.
Is brought to you by Barrel. Visit Barrel.com to learn more about our 3 conveniently located service centers. And by Levin's, the official furniture and mattress supplier to the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
Pirates are leading 12-3 over the Reds going to the 8th inning in Cincinnati for game 2 of the 4-game series. We see some changes. Jose Peraza has moved from second base to shortstop. Strike on Andrew McCutchen, who has walked in 4 trips to the plate. Scooter Gennett takes over at second base. And over at first, it's Patrick Kivlehan. One ball, one strike.
Yeah, who would have thunk the Pirates 12 runs, 10 hits without getting a hit from either Josh Bell or Andrew McCutchen. Andrew did walk and score.
New shortstop, Peraza. So Andrew McCutchen 0 for 4 with that walk.
Right fielder, John Jaso.
That'll bring up John Jaso. A pair of doubles. Big night for the Pirates offensively. Dozen runs on the board. Scott Feldman, 7 runs given up in 4 innings. Robert Stevenson gave up 4 in 2 2/3. After the Pirates collected 3 hits last night, all solo home runs. Pirates came in with a team batting average of .237. Only the Giants, Padres, and Mets have a lower team batting average. To center field, Billy Hamilton. Two down. Pirates have scored coming into this game the second fewest runs in the National League. Came in with 93 runs scored. The Giants fewest runs crossing the plate, 91. Jose Osuna, a couple of runs scored, an RBI, a double, and a walk. And one thing that continues, I think, John, to be encouraging about the offense, and it is a fluid situation with the injuries, with, of course, Gung and Marte, the big bats out of the lineup, and now Adam Frazier and David Freese out with injuries. The fact that, and we've talked about this a couple times on the road trip, the Pirates have struck out the fewest times in the National League. They're putting the ball in play.
More balls in play will lead to more hits, you would think. The young guys are playing a part.
You really want to promote that fact and get everybody thinking that way. Applaud that effort, because I would think that, that's something that they could just carry on through the season.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've been talking about the depth in the Pirates organization, all the prospects in the minors, and kind of the next man up attitude. And who would have thought? No Jung Ho Gung, no Starling Marte, and Freeze. So your third option at third base. Frazier, you thought would be forcing his way into the lineup.
Left side, the stop by Peraza, and gets Osuna, who's robbed of a hit. The Pirates go down in order, heading to the bottom of the 8th. They're still up 12-3.
was our guest on Twitter Tuesday. He was asked, when you started playing baseball, who did you look up to?
When I started playing baseball, one of them happened to be Barry Larkin. He was my one of my role models, and he's also my mentor. Derek Jeter, obviously, Roberto Alomar, King Griffey Jr. There's a lot of people that just inspired me to play this game, and people from South Africa too that also inspired me. One of the big ones was Ian Holness. When I saw him for the first time, because they told me that he had been signed professional contract, and I saw him play. I mean, that guy, he had speed, he could throw, he could hit bombs and hit for average. I mean, it was awesome seeing him play.
And the Barry Larkin story, guys, a very, very interesting was in 2008, Major League Baseball had an academy in Italy. Gift was a part of that, and that's where the Pirates took notice of him, and also Barry Larkin as well. It was at that academy when Larkin took Ngope under his wing and has served as a mentor ever since. So that's a connection to Barry Larkin, who's looked after Ngope ever since before he became a member of the Pirates organization in 2009.
Must be thrilled to be playing here tonight with those ties to Barry Larkin. And strike 3 is called. Eugenio Suarez.
The right fielder, Scott Schebler.
Wandy Peralta up now. Bullpen for Cincinnati.
Are all Wandys lefties?
Other than, let's see, Wandy Rodriguez, Wandy Peralta, or the other Wandys.
They're the only two I can think of, and they're both
Are
lefties.
all of them, all 2 of them lefties, yeah? Good question. That's a good question about how many Wandys have ever played in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Don't you wonder?
You wander. Indeed. That's why I asked.
No, you wonder as you wander around the mound. Tough night for the Reds. Looked very promising in that 3-run first inning. 1-2 strikes on Scott Schebler, the lefty hitter. Robbie was talking about Barry Larkin and the influence on Gift and Ngope. It was Larkin who really encouraged him to pick up switch hitting. A couple years ago, he went exclusively to his natural right-handed stance, and there's another strike 3. Pirates and Reds are going to play game 3 of this series tomorrow night, and it'll be Jameson Taillon taking that sparkling 2.08 ERA to the mound against the rookie Davis. Pirates have seen him once this season. Rookie Davis. Taillon, that earned run average is 5th lowest in the National League.
I like the Pirates' chances. I like those matchups between Taillon and Nova while they've been throwing the ball.
Harrison backs up for that last hop, and it's a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th inning for Wade LeBlanc. Going to the 9th in Cincinnati with the Buccos coasting.
presented by the authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
UPMC scoreboard 12-3. As we head to the ninth, Bucks in front of the Reds. Game 2 of the 4-game series. Pirates going to pick up their first win in the season series. Swept by Cincinnati at PNC Park earlier last month. Here is Wandy Peralta.
Lefty Peralta, another hard thrower out of the pen. 1-0, 154 ERA. The 13th appearance, 17 strikeouts, and 11 2/3. Opponents hitting just 105. Averages 96 with the fastball, but likes his slider. Throws it a lot, especially the lefties.
Isn't it redundant to call him Lefty Wandy?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why you did that then.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Elias Diaz. And Wade LeBlanc looks like he's going to try and give Clint Hurdle 3 and get his 3rd career save. He had one last year for the Pirates, September 17th, right here. And Diaz is on base again. A leadoff walk. Blake Wood walked 3 in a row. Robert Stevenson walked a pair. Scott Feldman walked 2. Gifton Gope takes ball 1, and time is called. Robbie talking to Gifton Gope for our Twitter Tuesday. Stuart Turner out to talk to Peralta. Talking about that European Academy that he attended at the age of 17 in August of 2007. An 8-hour flight to Italy. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pisa is where that European Academy was held. Worked out with about 50 other players, all from around the world. Following year invited back, and the Pirates were among the teams that showed the most interest. Gave him a $15,000 signing bonus. Invited him to join their rookie Gulf Coast League and their Gulf Coast League team in Bradenton in 2009. And up until a week ago, he had been playing ever since in the Pirates minor league system.
I know we've talked about it before. Difficulties of coming up through the minor leagues, and especially for a youngster, a kid, you know, in their teens. You see a lot of Latin American players signed at 16 if you're drafted out of high school. There's a lot of growing pains. You're always the best, typically out of high school at your sport, baseball, and then all of a sudden you go down to Bradenton and everybody's at least as good, if not better. You probably fail more than you've ever failed in your life. And then you go through the trials and tribulations for 9 years. In the case of Gifton Gope.
Jordy Mercer going to try for a hit, but a nice play there by Peralta. The force at second.
Yeah, a couple of nice plays by Peralta.
Peralta. I got Peralta on my mind now.
Yeah,
should know that it's not Peralta. He's a right-handed hitter.
Yes.
Peraza. David Freese in the dugout. Again, he's out with a strained right hamstring, and we'll know about his timetable. In the meantime, some other players getting opportunities. Wade LeBlanc
relievers love to get that opportunity to get in the batter's box, swing a bat. Looks like a little smile on Wade LeBlanc's face.
About a 250 career hitter. He had a lot of at-bats as a starter.
Pretty good slider from Wandy that LeBlanc takes like he knew it was coming. Let me see the heat. So then you got to be wondering what's going on here now. I'm a pitcher, a reliever. I hit once a year. What's with all the sliders? It's 12-3. Give me the heat. Give me a chance. He was ready to go get his glove. Started walking across the plate. He'll be swinging here, you would think.
LeBlanc strikes out, looking for the save now. Looking back at Wandy Peralta. Well, he's quite a left-hander, he's thinking.
To the 12 runs tonight was asked by Kayla Thompson on Twitter Tuesday. I know the pressure must have been crazy. Can you put into words what it means to represent an entire continent?
Representing an entire continent is it can be stressful, but it also can be very big, like why you do a sport. I mean, anything you do, you got to do it with a purpose. And knowing that I was doing this for my entire continent gave me a purpose of why I should be out here on the baseball field each and every day.
You know what's pretty crazy is Joe Block sent out a tweet that night, said the gift and Gope is now 1 in 1.2 billion representing the continent of Africa, and they actually turned it into a t-shirt that Gift is going to be getting pretty soon. And one other thing about Gift and Gope, guys, I know Greg and John, you guys have noticed it, but all these interview requests that Gift has gotten, he's somewhere around 30. He is granting every one that fits into his schedule. He's been so gracious in answering the same questions over and over and over again. So even more impressive than his ability on the baseball field is the way he's handling all the media attention that comes with it.
He seems to be having fun with it, which pretty good idea. Have fun with the people that want to talk to you about his incredible journey. Tucker Barnhart. Pinch hitting. LeBlanc, 3 pitches, retires him.
Masterful. He's so good at changing speeds, late movement.
Tomorrow, Pirates continue this 4-game series in Cincy. Bucks will turn to Jameson Taillon against another rookie pitcher, Rookie Davis, and the Reds. Coverage begins with Pirates pregame at 6:30, presented by W.B. Mason. Popped up, right field. Stuart Turner is the second out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Wade LeBlanc, 2 saves last year. One when he was with the Seattle Mariners, and then picked up his first Pirates save. Again, right here in Cincinnati on September the 7th, pitching 3 scoreless innings. The Reds go as Billy Hamilton goes, at least against the Pirates. So when you see he's hitless in 3 at-bats, have to figure it's a good night for the Bucks, even though he walked against Glasnow in that first inning. Backhand on to first and raised the Jolly Roger. An incredible turnaround game for Tyler Glasnow and the Pirates. And they even this series. They get the first W of the year against the Reds.
And you like the offense. You got to love that the Pirates are able to put 12 runs on the board. Oddly enough, the big 3-run homer from Josh Harrison after the clutch 2-out, 2-run base hit from Tyler Glasnow. The story, though, will be about Tyler Glasnow. I mean, what a performance after a walk, a homer, a walk. You're wondering, is he going to be able to get through the first inning? Is he going to be able to make it into the second? And not only does he get into the second, he gets through 6. His first big league victory. Really silenced the bats for the Reds from the 2nd to the 6th. He allowed just a couple of hits and a walk, no more runs.